Well, Sabbath greetings to everyone. I hope you had a magnificent week. It's been a great week here. I must say I'm not really ready for the weather that's going on out there today. It was cold. I think when I got up this morning, it was really cold, 40 degrees or so. I don't think it's warmed up at all today. It's been rainy and cold, but I guess it's supposed to warm up again next week and be at least back in the 70s, and so we'll try to enjoy that if it comes back around, a little bit warmer weather. Like I said, I'm just not ready. We really didn't have much of a summer, so I'm certainly not ready for fall or winter. So anyway, ready or not, I'm sure it's coming anyway. So I hope you had a good week there wherever you're at, wherever you've spent it, whether it's been working or traveling, and whatever the case may be, whatever you've been doing. I hope it's been a profitable week for you. It's been a very busy week around here, still trying to just kind of get the final touches on the festival planning here. There's still quite a number of things to do, but I do feel like I'm breathing quite a bit easier as of today, and thankfully was able to finish up the sermon for tomorrow just a little bit ago, and it's still made it a little bit before the Sabbath here, and so I've got of course a lot of writing left to do for the upcoming holy days. They're kind of up here, but still need to put them down on paper, and so I know many of you are praying for me, and I sure do appreciate it. I really mean that, and I know that all of the other ministers and everyone at headquarters and all the coordinators, we all appreciate the prayers. We really, really do, because we can feel those, and just very much appreciate all the prayers of the brethren going up for us at this time. And as far as the coordinating goes, I mean, we just want to make sure that you all can have a beautiful time when you go to the feast, that hopefully everything will be organized and be ready to go to take away as much of the any type of stress that may come about. We want to try to minimize those opportunities for stress for you and provide for some opportunities for fun and fellowship. And so we're getting very, very close to those holy days coming up here, Feast of Trumpets and Atonement and Feast of Tabernacles and Last Great Day. So what a wonderful blessing that is. Just a few thoughts for tonight. We're all still struggling with this human side of us. None of us are perfectly spiritually minded just yet. We have, hopefully, to some degree, we have Christ living in us, but we're always trying to strive against that carnal nature, and we're trying to strive against sin and against those things that come about. And even in the Church of God, we're not totally impervious to upsets and grudges and times where we can offend other people. That's kind of been on my mind here, because in Proverbs 18 and verse 19 it says, "A brother offended is harder to win than a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of a castle." We want to, of course, in the Church of God, we always promote the idea of making sure that we're careful not to offend or to cause contentions or division in the congregation. But it does happen, because, again, we're human. And when these types of things come up, if we're in the middle of that, if we're the kind of ones stuck in that process of either offending someone or being offended by somebody else, then it can be very stressful. It can be something that's very, very difficult to contend with when we're dealing with a brother who's offended, or if we're dealing with a brother that we've offended. Of course, we may have a part to play on either side of that. Sometimes we do have to go to our brother and talk to them about the offense and give them the opportunity to reconcile. Maybe they're just not aware of the offense. Otherwise, if we have offended someone, then we need to be sure that we make a reconciliation and go to our brother and clear those things up, and not let those things fester and boil and come to the point of making us bitter, causing bitterness and strife, because sometimes that can really affect not only the individuals involved, but it can affect the whole congregation. And so we have to be very careful in those instances. In the King James Version, Psalm 119, 165, it says, "Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them." That's the King James Version. Great peace have those who love the law of God, and nothing offends them. So we have to be sure that we're not allowing ourselves to be easily offended. It does happen, but we have to make sure that we don't, we say wear our feelings on our shirt sleeves. Where they're very easily, bumped and cause us, consternation or stress just because we're just a little bit too sensitive. We need to be able to think through those things and not be easily offended. If we love God's law, we have that relationship with God, then we aren't easily offended. The Scripture says nothing shall offend them. We don't need to spend too much time being offended, because we're all human. We make mistakes. Our brothers and sisters make mistakes, and sometimes those things can offend us, or they can, cause us a little bit of consternation. But we have to make sure that we're not allowing those things to kind of fester and boil. If we have an issue with our brother, take it to your brother. Find a way to heal the breach in that sense. Find a way, at least do your part in creating an atmosphere that at least is open and able to seek that reconciliation with other people. It's very important because we don't want to get in that position of becoming offended, or certainly don't want to offend other people, because again, a brother offended is harder to win than a strong city. Some people kind of set their heels in and they just are bound and determined to be offended, and sometimes we are able to affect that and reconcile, and sometimes we're not, and that's unfortunate, but we got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to address those situations and cause for peace with all. We want to have peace with all men, because if we don't, then we're not going to see God. I think that's what the Scripture says. We want to seek peace and pursue it with all men, because without that, we're not going to see God. And so it's very important, this idea of being offended or making sure that we reconcile if we have caused offense. So let's be sure we think that through and kind of consider whether or not we have good and strong relationships with one another, especially in our local congregations. Sometimes these congregations are small, and so it's very, very important that we're practicing these things and we're not allowing that contention or strife to affect the congregation as a whole. And so I hope you have a beautiful Sabbath. I hope it's spent reflecting on the great purpose for life, and a wonderful opportunity to live and reign with Christ very soon in the coming kingdom. And I hope that you truly are at peace with all people, especially with those of the household of faith, that we maintain that kind of peaceful relationship and loving relationship with one another. It's what is pleasing to God. That's what He wants, and that's what we should all be striving for. I love you all very much. I hope you have a tremendous Sabbath. I look forward to seeing the brethren in Chicago this Sabbath. It's always a pleasure to be there. I look forward to that very much, and I hope you all have a peaceful, safe, wonderful, and profitable Sabbath wherever you are going to be keeping it. I love you all. Take care.